What's going on, guys? Matt over here with Lethal Garage, and today we are removing the subframe from my 1971 Camaro. Now, before we could just go ahead and remove the subframe, there's a couple things that I have to do in today's video. One, we gotta pull this motor. I gotta go get a cherry picker. It's not here yet, but I do have the stand that we're gonna be putting the motor on because I've sold this motor and the transmission that's hooked up to it. I gotta separate the two, which I just have to say, this entire front end is not held together very well. Basically, I'm going to be peeling off all the front cone pieces, the side fenders, everything, and then dropping the subframe from the vehicle. But I can't really show you a guide where every nut and bolt is on this because this thing is only held together with like 2 panel screws or bolts. Look, you can see there's a bolt here missing. There's only 1 holding it here. There's 2 right there out of the 5. There's only 1 over here, and there's not even the bolts that connect it to the main body. There's just the upper ones. So yeah, this is going to be interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by pulling off the front clip, then I'll take off the side fenders, then we'll get the cherry picker, pull the motor out, and we'll be good. And I'm just going to kind of fast motion all of this and maybe stop in between if I run into anything awkward. But just because it's missing so much, there's nothing connected, there's no lighting, there's no wiring, there's no nothing. So it's just peeling back the skin of this, so it's going to be a lot easier to pull the motor out. Let's do it. So I got the front nose clip off for the most part. There's really, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 bolts holding that on out of the, I want to say 15. Yeah. So now I'm going to take off the side fenders. We're going to get those off. It looks like there's a bolt up top on each side. He has 1 bolt on the front corners. And it looks, no, I don't see a bolt. There may be a bolt down below on the sides, but we'll see when we get there. It might just be the 2 uppers and the 2 fronts, and that's it. That's holding it on right now. And that's probably why it's all misaligned, because there's not all the bolts are in. You can already tell this fender's drooping below the hole it's supposed to mount to, but either or, let's get those off. So I had to open the door. There's supposed to be a bolt on the inside edge here that's completely missing. But now with the door open, I should be able to pull it off. Sensors. There we go. And a phone call. Okay, sorry about that. Interrupted by a phone call, but got that bolt out, and this should just pull off, in theory. It looks like he has a bolt down there, but what do you cut on? You were caught. There we go. Ha! Well, there you have it. Now I have the fenders off and the front clip off. I'm gonna go ahead and remove the radiator, well, kind of the whole front structure support / radiator support. And man, this makes it so much easier to work on a vehicle. So he told me all new bushings, but basically it's brand new bottom bushings, because this one's torn to crap and cracked. There's no way the top one's new, but the bottom one's new. Okay. So now it's time to get the cherry picker here and get this motor out. And once that motor's out, we can get the body of the car on stands and disconnect the subframe. Let's do it. Alrighty then, cherry picker's here. Motor's grabbed. Transmission's not bolted to anything. And the bolts were literally just sit in with no nuts holding the motor there. I feel like a moron for not checking that before we trailed the car back, but now it's time to pull the motor with the picker. Yep, okay, we're on it.
Your Angus is dripping?
Oh, am I making it so it clears the crossmember? Am I supposed to roll with this?
Alright, there's that. And then as soon as we're, as soon as we're off of the crossmember, you can let it down.
Okay. Am I supposed to be rolling? Motor's mostly out with the trans. It has no converter. That made it lighter. But Mike's actually doing some searching to see exactly what block this is.
It's a truck block.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah, truck block. That is one of the most common ones. 73 to 75.
So it's an old truck block.
Yep.
455. Redone. And now 468 with a 2-bolt. So he wasn't planning on putting much power through this. It's pretty funny when I'm saying like 700 horsepower is not much power.
Who's gonna make 700 horsepower?
Well, I'm just saying like that's max theoretical power you should put through a 2-bolt. At least from what the internet says.
Well, that's all relative to RPM.
True.
So you can make a ton of horsepower, you just can't spin any RPM with it. Because everything flexes.
And brakes. So, I suck. I needed a bolt this long that I thought I needed this size, but I made the mistake of this was the bolt that was holding the motor in the motor mount, not the size of this that actually screws into the back of the big block. This is the size I needed, not this, which I just drove around the freaking town with Maple and Lisa. I made them suffer through my driving. And yeah, I got the wrong bolts. So now I have to go back. But at least we know Home Depot has 3/8 inch. Because the problem was we thought we needed 7/16. Is that what it is? Yeah, 7/16 bolts. And I'm an idiot. I don't know why I thought that. It's like one of those things, right? Like if you're going to go to the store to get bolts, you're going to go like 12 times. Yeah, it happened. It happened. So let's go get the right bolts. Well, we got the right bolts, but they're bottoming them out in the block, so we had to do some ghetto spacing. I feel very uncomfortable about this because a big block is big, and this stand is old school. It's like swept back, and it just feels very high off the ground. Maybe it's just me. I don't know, but it's on there. We had to do some ghetto spacing. Like this is bad. I know it's bad. I gotta figure out what kind of bolt to get and do, but it's on there. It's on there. I'm just really nervous to leave it on there. Maybe I'll put a couple tires underneath it so if it fell, it might break the fall, Maple. Probably not. 680 plus pounds.
I'm not that
No.
fat.
Yeah. So that's off, and it's late in the day, and I've lost a lot of time. And look, my neighbor's second gen. Looking good. Maybe we'll get Rich's opinion. He's a motor guy. Look at that, looking clean. One day my car will look better than that one. I hope. Maybe. I don't know. This car looks pretty nice. He can't figure out how to park it though. But yes, now it's time to pull the subframe, which I said I would do today. So I'm gonna do it today. It should just be 6 bolts. I'll see if I have the right adapter to get it off. They're big bolts. So jack stands and impact.
And maple bar.
And a maple. Oh, that sounds good. My fatness is.
Ham's done it.
We're going. Let's do this. Well, we're a week later. Sorry, as we left off, didn't get the subframe off, but we're doing it today. And I got Tribal SS here. Steve, if you guys don't know him, he's got a beautiful blue 6 gen. So motor's out, trans is out. I got miscellaneous bolts and parts and pieces everywhere, so sorry for that since the last time, but today is getting the subframe off. Now this entire subframe is held to the vehicle with 2 big bolts. I don't even know what size they are, so we gotta figure that out. What we're gonna do is we're gonna put jack stands on the pinch welds to support the body of the vehicle. And as you can tell, I have the car on skates right now. So basically what's gonna happen is we're supporting the body, we're gonna unbolt the subframe, and the body will end up just sitting on those jack stands as the subframe drops. And we'll then roll the subframe out, and then I'm gonna do disassembly of the subframe, so then we could sandblast it and make it look all pretty. So that's kind of the idea. We're using jacks to support the subframe as we're unbolting it, and then we'll slowly let those down and roll it out. That's the plan. We'll see if it works. Yeah. So what we've done is we jacked the car up enough, just thinking ahead of time, because we need to pull the subframe out, right? But I also don't want to have to jack the car back up without having the support when we put the subframe back on. So we lifted the car from the subframe 2 notches above, so the car's sitting nicely on the jack stands. So that way when we pull the subframe, it will drop down slowly with the jacks, so they're not really supporting the weight of the car. The weight of the car is on the stands right now, but they are supporting it while we undo the bolts. We'll drop those slowly. Subframe will come down nice and neatly and roll out. So that way when I'm done fixing this all, making it look pretty, we can roll it in, bolt it up, and then jack the car up and then let it down, so the weight's back on the subframe and not the stands. At least that's the thought process. I could be wrong doing it this way, but it seemed like the most logical and easiest way, so I didn't have to jack the car back up to get the subframe back on. Yeah, so we are there. We need to remove the bolts and let it down slowly, so we're gonna go ahead and do that. Subframe's held on with 2 15/16 bolts. And that's, oh, this is my, I got the wrong one. I got my 3/8 ratchet. Well, I gotta get 1/2 inch. We'll see how tightly they are on there. Come on. That seemed to come off pretty easy. There's one. Let's get the front. So I got Steve over here. We're gonna do side to side action. Hopefully it's the same size bolt.
I know, huh?
Is it different? Ah, it's the same. Nice. Oh, the washer's stuck to the
Yeah.
the nice bigger. It's funny that whoever owned this car originally, look at, they put a brand new upper, but they didn't replace the lower. What's the point of that? Why would you pull that all apart to just replace one? That makes no sense to me.
Because these are perfect.
Those are they were probably too expensive. Like, seriously, like, look at this thing. It's like, he replaced the brand new upper one, but it was like, yeah, these are good. Really? Like, so the front mounts, a little bit same thing. Replace the uppers. Left. Oh, these. Oh, that's some dirt. Oh yeah. So subframe is completely disconnected. That's just, this is falling apart. Look at that. Like, it is, I can't see in the camera or the lighting. It's probably terrible, but this thing is just done. I mean, look how off center and bowed out that is. That is just, that's terrible. I'll get Steve getting the other side. So this will completely disconnect. It's gonna drop a little. So the subframe is now completely detached from the car.
Yours.
So I think we can just lower this down slowly on both sides.
Alright.
And it should just allow the oh wait, you know what, I forgot to disconnect. We have to disconnect the steering.
Ah.
Steering. I completely forgot. Obviously our jacked up brake lines are not really connected to anything in the body, but I forgot to disconnect the terrible steering column they try to create. Look at, they even notched the main frame. We're getting rid of all of this. We're bringing the steering to come right back here. We're putting the stock gearbox, all that stuff back in place. This will all go away, all new stuff, but yeah, I gotta disconnect that because it won't come off with the car. So got a little WD-40. I wonder, because that's not really helping anything. It's not. I wonder if I got an idea. I have an idea.
Nope. There it is.
Yeah, separation! I have no idea how all that other stuff's held together, but it's held. So off camera, you missed me getting a pair of vice grips and crimping down that so it couldn't move. Pulled this as tight as we can get it, and ultimately this joint was the one that pulled out. Yeah, this is not factory. This is never coming back in the car. That's terrible. Never do your car this way. Now we can drop the subframe. Can we get that side? We can do this slowly together.
Alright, ready?
It's even dropping. That's good.
Frame going down?
Yeah. It's on the ground. Separation. Now keep in mind, we would have had to do a little more work if the car had more connections as the brake booster and the, I believe this is a valving setup. I forget the actual word for that, but it's keeping pressure check from front to rear. They're already disconnected. This isn't even bolted to the car, as you could see. We're good. So this whole thing, the front subframe is now disconnected. So the next step is breaking this all down, and I'm gonna do that in a separate video, but breaking this all down to get it all cleaned up and looking pretty. So that's next video, next step. And again, ripping it all apart, sandblasting every bit, replacing things, cutting off the rest of the roll cage that's still welded in place, getting all new body mounts and front bumper mounts and all of the mounts, and then proper steering. Yeah, there's a lot to do. And yeah, I forgot to close out the video. I do that sometimes. But thanks for checking out the content. If you guys want to see more second gen content, hit that subscribe button. As always, thanks for checking out the content, and a huge thanks to Steve for coming over today, helping out. Thanks, Steve. Follow him, Treble_SS. Treble_SS?
Yes.
Yes, Treble_SS on Instagram. That's it. Till next time, guys. See you on the road.